stuff.
So welcome everyone. Glad to see such a good turnout in the middle of the summer. We usually have a little fall off in attendance, but this is a great crowd. So thank you for being here. We'll turn it over to Shar now to introduce our speaker.
Do we need to really introduce Jody Took? Hi, Master Gardeners. Our guest speaker today is Jody Took. You all know she's a volunteer with the Garland County Master Gardener Program of the University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture Cooperative Extension Service. She retired from the Air Force after 28 years in 2014 and settled here in Hot Springs on Lake Hamilton with her husband Sam. Fascinated by what grows well and not so well, she considers her landscape one big experiment. She became a Master Gardener in 2015 to learn about plants and what makes each special and to help others do the same. She served as chair for various projects and committees, from newsletter to Know It to Grow It to GEMS, as well as the executive committee, including 2 terms as president. She looks forward to a bright future in which we can continue to bring our passion for gardening to our community. Jody? Excellent.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, and I know we have a big day full of things. How many of you have heard me talk about mosses and ferns in the past? Because I have done this talk a couple of times. Okay, well, there's still a number of you who maybe this might be a little new. For the others, I continue to learn about mosses, but there's some really basic foundations that are just gotta tell you. So I'm happy to be sharing my passion for mosses and ferns, and it grew out of that curiosity for why things grew, where they did, and how to encourage them in my landscape. And I have a bit of a mess of a landscape. And although I'm a master gardener, I am self-educated and still very much an amateur gardener and scientist. Mosses are still mysterious to me because I struggle with naming them. I listened to a talk by Karen Willard, and she's a botanical expert. She reminded us that you may not be able to identify mosses, but you can still appreciate them. And I know many of you out there appreciate mosses. Ferns are a relatively new interest for me, and they grew from exploring different types in my friend Sandy Morad's landscape. I've read several articles by Dr. James Peck, the Fern Man of Arkansas, and borrowed heavily from a presentation about Arkansas ferns that I saw a few years ago from Gerald Klingelman. I've enjoyed the Facebook group Arkansas Mosses, Lichens and Ferns, and found participants really very friendly and willing to share what they knew about mosses and ferns. So I want to start with a short excerpt from Elizabeth Gilbert's book, The Signature of All Things. In her character, Alma, she captures the passion of a young scientist discovering a whole new world through her attuned senses. And so often when we go out into the garden, we're just kind of browsing around, but this kind of helps you to kind of dive right into that landscape and this maybe small, tiny world that you've never explored before. So as you view the pictures on the screen, imagine yourself beside Alma. Alma knelt in the tall grass and brought her face as near as she could to the stone, and there, rising no more than an inch above the surface of the boulder, she saw a great and tiny forest. She peered at it so closely that she could smell it, dark and rich and old. Gently, Alma pressed her hand into this tight little timberland. There was something stirring about its response to her. The moss felt warm and spongy, several degrees warmer than the air around it, and far more damp than she had expected. It appeared to have its own weather. Alma put the magnifying lens to her eye and looked again. Now the miniature forest below her gaze sprang into majestic detail. She rode her eye above the surprising landscape, following its paths in every direction. Here were rich, abundant valleys filled with tiny trees and braided mermaid hair and minuscule, tiny, tangled vines. Here were barely visible tributaries running through the jungle, and here was a miniature ocean in a depression in the center of the boulder where all the water pooled. Just across this ocean, she found another continent of moss altogether, On this new continent, everything was different. This corner of the boulder must receive more sunlight than the others, she surmised, or slightly less rain. In any case, this was a new climate entirely. Here the moss grew in mountain ranges the length of Alma's arms, in elegant pine tree-shaped clusters of darker, more somber green. On another quadrant of the same boulder still, she found patches of infinitesimally small deserts, inhabited by some sturdy, dry, flaking moss that had the appearance of cactus. Then Alma lifted her face and saw what was before her. Dozens more such boulders, more than she could count, each one similarly carpeted, each one subtly different. These were ancient, unexplored galaxies rolling forth in front of her, and it was all right here. So, join me as we venture into the mystery of mosses and ferns. These seedless wonders, how they grow, where they grow, and what makes them special. We'll also learn to identify some basic examples that grow right here in Arkansas, so that I always kind of feel like if I can name it, then it deserves to exist. You know, people are all kind of hung up with weeds and making things pristine. Everything's got a name. So this chart compares the what and how of mosses and ferns. The bryophytes are a group of seedless plant species without any specialized water-conducting tissues, and they include mosses, liverworts, and hornworts. You've seen them perched atop a rock, along cracks and sidewalks, and maybe at the base of a tree in a damp environment. They're small and green and herbaceous. There's no persistent woody stem above the ground. And the leaves are generally arranged spirally around a tiny stem, and this helps water pass and nutrients in just a primitive example of a vascular system. So the rhizoid root absorbs no water. It's just a way to kind of hold that plant in place. The water and nutrients come from rainfall or dew or some sort of wind-borne debris, and it's absorbed through the leaves, again, not through the root system. Without moisture, the plant shrivels up and looks dead, but revives quickly when rehydrated. Oftentimes when I'm kind of going looking for mosses, I'll take a little spray bottle with me if it's been dry, and so you can squirt them and you just kind of see them pop back to life. It's pretty cool. So moss harvests carbon dioxide and sunlight to create food by photosynthesis, and they begin soil formation and they contribute to stabilization. Mosses also provide habitats for small insects, nesting material, and food. Birds love it, right, to kind of lie in their nests. Reproduction is the biggest feature differentiating these primitive plants from higher plants. And while they reproduce using spores, like ferns, they do so with single unpaired chromosomes that pair with a compatible partner during reproduction and then release spores from those reproductive capsules. And you'll see some examples of those later. Now the polypodiophyta are vascular plants, plants with a xylem and a phloem, that reproduce via spores and have neither seeds nor flowers. So they're commonly described as ferns. Their vascular system allows transport of water and nutrients from the soil, and the ligophyte cells provide stability. That just means they'll tend to be a little bit woody. It'll hold them up. The green photosynthetic part of the plant is often called a frond, and the new leaves typically expand by unrolling a tight spiral called a crozier or fiddlehead into fronds. The leaves are divided into two types, sporophylls and tropophylls. Sporophylls produce the spores, and tropophylls do not. The roots are underground, non-photosynthetic structures, and they take up water and nutrients from the soil. They're always fibrous and are structurally very similar to the roots of seed plants. So here you see a patch of moss, and it's growing both the gametophytes, which are kind of the low leaf-like forms kind of at the base, and then the sporophytes, and that's the tall stalk-like things that you see towering above that kind of grassy mat. And that's where the spores are released. So oftentimes when you see moss, you'll see those kind of little tendrils sticking up, and that's kind of the moss reproducing. Similarly, ferns develop sporophytes that release spores, and the gametophytes form to reproduce. The reproductive cycle takes at least 2 generations, and once released, the spores are carried by the wind currents, and some of them fall in appropriate places to germinate and form the sexual plants, or gametophytes. These are rarely observed in nature, and without arduous searching, the gametophyte stage of the majority of fern species has never been seen in the wild, which I find completely fascinating. I mean, someday I think I need to see one of those somehow. You know, it gives me hope. So it's just really interesting that it's such a kind of a complicated process that happens all the time. So mosses are very primitive plants without a higher evolved vascular system. They're limited to energy production by 3 factors. So first of all, moisture, sunlight, and temperatures above 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Specific species can be extremely difficult to maintain away from where they have selected to live in their natural state. They've got unique requirements of light and humidity and the substrate chemistry, you know, what they're growing on, shelter from the wind. There's so many various factors. They grow on materials that are porous and moisture retentive, such as brick, wood, and certain concrete mixtures. Surfaces can also be prepared with acidic substances, and I'm sure you've heard the buttermilk trick with grinding it up and kind of splashing it on there. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it's not in a place where the moss wants to grow. So no matter how many times you put that buttermilk mixture on there, you're just making a little milky mess. So mosses are evergreen plants, and they will grow year-round as long as moisture and sunlight are available. Photosynthesis is possible even below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Mosses do not have a seasonal growth habit, and instead, their dormancy comes when they're dry, and they return to active growth as soon as moisture fills their tissues. And large colonies of these mosses can help control weeds, because it kind of provides that layer where the weeds have to struggle to get through, although sometimes they really do get through. So as we look at location, needs to be damp enough and sunlight enough to conduct photosynthesis. And again, the substrate, places where they grow, rocks, exposed mineral soil, disturbed soils, acidic soils, chalky soils. And you'll also see them on cliffs and waterfall spray areas, the sides of streams, shaded humusy soil, downed logs, burnt stumps, tree trunks, upper tree trunks. They grow in a wide variety of places. An important thing to note is that when they do grow on trees, they're epiphytes, which means that they're not parasitic, that they don't send those root systems into the bark and begin to kind of pull it apart. They just kind of hold on enough to hold where they are, and then again, they absorb moisture and nutrients from the air. You've even probably seen them in cracks between paving stones, on damp city streets, and even on rooftops. I know some people don't like them on rooftops, but they grow there sometimes. So if you're trying to grow mosses in containers, use plastics, ceramics, seasoned concrete, stone, wood, soil, fabric, or glass. Galvanized zinc or plated materials like copper and pressure-treated lumber are not moss-friendly. So if you're trying to get it off your roof, if you kind of run some wires of zinc or copper, it'll dissuade the moss from growing there. It doesn't like that. So when we think of ferns, we generally think of wooded settings. And while there are many ferns for the shades and moist areas to drier hillsides, there are even ferns that will grow in full sun, believe it or not. According to Dr. Peck, the fern man of Arkansas, there's a fern for every habitat in Arkansas and a fern for every season. So those are ferns that can grow on rocks, in sand, or totally submerged in water. Because they absorb a broader spectrum of light, they even grow successfully in shade. They prefer to be left alone to multiply, and they really, really like benign neglect. I know that's so hard for master gardeners. But they really don't like to be divided on a regular basis. That's just not their jam. So really allow room for them to grow and mature and spread, and be patient. Division is the best method of propagation, but it does kind of set back their plants. I acquired some ferns from the plant sale that we grew out at the detention center I think last year, and put them up in the church, and they actually overwintered for me. And when they started coming back, they were a little sparse, and I had people tell me, oh, well, you should cut all that back and I'm like, no, just let it grow. And now they are beautiful and bushy. If you want to see my ferns, they're at St. Mary's. And they're just growing like gangbusters, and so they can be overwintered. So as with any group of plants, culture and care will vary by species. The greatest economic value of ferns has been in horticulture, with large nurseries supplying millions of plants annually for both indoor decoration and outdoor gardens and landscaping. I have friends that buy many ferns every year for their porches, hang them up, and at the end of the season they throw them out. On the negative side, there are poisonous bracken, which often spoil the grazing value of various lands. It's considered a noxious weed in many countries, and the new growth is a fiddlehead, and most ferns are clones. Some general guidelines for ferns. Prepare the soil carefully, loosen the soil, and add in well-aged compost and leaf mold, and avoid tight, heavy soils. They like a pH between 6 and 7. And raised beds make for excellent fern displays, but you'll need some winter protection with mulching. If you kind of mulch them real good, that should be all right. With my ferns at the church, I put them up against the building, and they seemed to be happy there. Container gardening of ferns can be difficult in the summer and the winter, right? The summer it gets too hot, and in the winter it gets too cold. So you have to kind of make sure that maybe they have a little air barrier in there or something that kind of helps them against that temperature swing. So if you want to propagate these things, as you can kind of see in the picture there, cut along the rhizome and be sure to include the leaf. Many ferns are deer and rabbit resistant and suffer from very few diseases. The most common fern diseases are damping off. They'll have some fungal or bacterial leaf spots. And then they also have root, crown, and stem rots, and then kind of from having too much moisture. So the best way to avoid these is to make sure your ferns are healthy and well fed, not overcrowded, with the right levels of moisture. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things that are not ferns or mosses, but many people often mistake them for that. So this is Spanish moss. It's an epiphytic plant. Again, it doesn't kind of dive into the tree. And it is of the pineapple family, believe it or not. Its grayish-green filaments are on trees from the southern U.S. to Argentina, and Spanish moss commonly grows atop southern live oaks, crepe myrtles, and bald cypress. This is reindeer moss. It's gray in most cases, and it forms extensive patches in Arctic and north temperate regions, and it is a food of the caribou. Sometimes people even eat it. I wouldn't try it, but it is edible. Club moss, this is flowerless. It's a terrestrial epiphytic plant with small needle-like scale leaves covering the stems and branches. You can see the Arbavitae fern. This is an oversized club moss, and it's named for its lacy, scaly, frond-like leaves that resemble an Arbavita in the cypress family. This is lichen. There is a synergistic relationship between an algae that hosts and provides the food for its dependent fungus that provides support and shelter. So the dominant partner is the fungus, which gives the lichen the majority of its characteristics. They grow in open, inhospitable areas, rocks, and on the sides of trees or bare sand. I recently found this book, Princeton Field Guide to Common Mosses of the Northeast and Appalachians, and it's really helpful in identifying mosses. It has kind of a whole methodology of how to actually name them, which completely helps me. So first you observe the surroundings. What's the moss growing on? Trees, forest floor, rocks, disturbed areas. What are the environmental conditions? And then If you carry a small spray bottle, you can moisten the mosses and be able to see the dried out moss versus the dampened moss. And if it's moist, pluck a small sample and let it dry in the air. And then the three key features, growth form, leaf shape, and midrib, will help you identify that moss. So we'll look at each of those. Growth form, there's the pleurocarpus mosses that have the prostate growth habit. You see that on your left side. And then the acrocarpus mosses, and you see those on the right. It's upright and tightly packed, and although it grows more slowly, it's more effective at keeping those weeds out. So if you look at peat moss, that's kind of a third type. The stems stand upright, and this is the moss that you're familiar with that they sell in nurseries and whatnot. It's used extensively in the horticultural area. Cotton fibers retain 5 to 6 times its dry weight, while peat mosses retain 20 times its dry weight. So it's really valuable for retaining moisture. They can be harvested on a sustainable basis and then managed so that regrowth is allowed. Naturally compacted, it's sold in compressed bales, and it contains a mixture of organic materials, which include the moss, decaying plant matter, and even some dead insects in there. So leaf shape is that second feature. Note that the pleurocarpus and acrocarpus forms have lance, ovate, and tongue-shaped leaves. And then the midrib, that's the third feature. It's the presence or absence of a midrib in the leaf. You have to look at it really closely. A magnifying glass helps. And you'll see that midrib running the length of some of the leaves. Most, but not all, acrocarps have leaves with midribs. And the hair-like and tongue-shaped leaves always have a midrib. So there's kind of some little clues that you can use to help you. So here's some examples. Lyell's bristle moss. This one is a really striking plant, and it grows 3 to 4 centimeters tall. This is the brook canakin moss. It forms in scruffy patches over rocks, and a lot of times in empty stream beds. The lance-shaped leaves are about 2 centimeters long, and you can kind of see cup-like capsules among the little shoot tips. This yellow yarn moss, and these are at the bases of tree trunks and calcium-rich rocks, and they have dense mats with upright and irregularly shaped branching. This is the pin cushion moss, tight clumps that are blue, gray, green in color. And this one, it really is interesting the way it changes color. It's very distinctive. This one obviously is well hydrated, but when they lose water, they get more bluish. This is the train tracks moss, and it kind of makes those dull mats over tree trunks, and they can be attached to rocks as well. I've seen it there. This is the cypress-leaved plate moss, and it's fairly widespread and abundant. It has really irregular branches, and they can be brownish in color on the older ones. Now when we look at ferns, this is kind of hard because they don't always follow the established rules. Do you know any other plants that do that? Of course, right? I found a book called Identifying Ferns the Easy Way. Just this cute little book is really, really helpful in figuring out ferns. It outlines several approaches to identification for these feisty little plants. Observe the habitats, variations on the fern and the surrounding plants, and then leaf arrangement on the frond, and then specific characteristics of the stalk. We'll look at some Arkansas ferns from the 5 groups. This is an ebony spleenwort. This one actually is growing in my yard. It kind of comes up of its own accord. I have no idea where it came from. It will survive under a wide variety of shady conditions. And the skinny fronds usually grow in clusters. The stalk turns a shiny black as it ages. It's really a pretty little plant. But it doesn't really do well in a pot, and I have never actually successfully transplanted it. It's pretty picky about where it likes to live. This is a resurrection fern from group 1. It's a low-growing, creeping epiphytic fern that grows in clusters along rhizomes. I'm sure you have seen this everywhere. It grows here in the south quite well. And it kind of will look all dried up and brown. It can lose up to 95% of its water content and survive because the cells have these proteins that when the plant dries, it concentrates along the walls, which kind of protects it from totally collapsing. So when it kind of gets that water it needs, that's when you see that brilliant green and it comes to life again, almost like a moss. It can be transplanted by attaching a fern-bearing fallen tree limb to another tree in a mostly shady area and keep it moist. And so it'll just kind of migrate over to wherever you want to put it. And it's really fairly easy to transplant. They prefer live oak or cypress. This is a marginal wood fern, and it almost always grows in rocky areas and favors areas with damp to dry soils and fully shaded rocky ravines. Note the spores cluster on the upper third of the blades. So this is the New York fern, and it grows throughout forested areas and can interfere with regeneration of hardwood forests. The leaflets grow shorter toward the bottom, and the color varies through the seasons. And it will have spores cases on the underside of its fronds. Sometimes where those spores are can help you identify it. This is the lady fern, and it grows in partially shade garden or a natural area that has moist to wet soils. It has a slight groove in the front of the stalk, and it grows in asymmetric clusters, but sometimes you'll find just 2 or 3 fronds. Its color changes throughout the season, and the weak fronds are easily damaged by wind and passing animals. The plants do go dormant early with dry soil conditions. This is the bracken fern, and it grows in poor, barren soil and prefers sun. Its blade is broadly triangular, and it is poisonous to livestock and can actually interfere with regeneration of hardwood forests. It tends to eliminate all other plants in its shade, so make sure if you have this, give it room to grow. This is the southern maidenhair fern. This is one of my favorites. It's just really delicate and beautiful. It grows in rich shaded soil and can indicate a rich growing site. The fronds may grow in scattered small clusters, and its blades are fan-shaped and leaflets radiate in all directions on one side of a curving stalk. And its foliage actually repels water, so it's interesting. You can get some really beautiful pictures of it when just a little dew fall and the water will bead up on the leaves. It's kind of a cool little plant. So these are my references. I mean, just tons of places where you can kind of look to find it. Like I said, the Facebook group, it was very helpful. A lot of individuals, you can like post a picture and say, what is this? And somebody will answer. Of course, the university has some resources that were really helpful, and then I have kind of a couple of book references that were also kind of fun to look through. And then my fern references, the Know Your Natives, that one was really helpful. The Native Plant Society, again, you can kind of post it and then they'll tell you what it is. So it's kind of neat too. And American Fern Society, that's a cool group. And then, again, I mentioned Dr. Peck from the UNLR. His work is really amazing as well. Any questions? Yes, FT.
Why aren't spores considered seeds?
Because they're not. They're kind of half of the genetic equation. The spore has to land on a gametophyte that will then accept it and get the chromosomes together to make the new plant.
So it's half a seed.
Yeah, it's kind of half a seed. Yeah, if you want to look at it from that perspective. Yeah. Yes.
So with mosses not having vascular tissue, how does it send up the sporophyte off the surface of the moss?
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Oh, right. He asked, how does the moss, if it's not a vascular system, how does it send up the sporophyte? And that's really a matter of, that's that structure that is just in that particular plant. it's kind of an independent little piece, and they're not very big. I mean, they're tiny. So it's not getting any nutrients or anything up that stalk. It's just holding up there the genetic material necessary to reproduce.
Oh, so it's preformed already?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Yes?
What do you recommend for success in helping moss spread?
Recommending helping moss spread. Remove debris and weeds, right, because it's going to need to get sunlight so that it can reproduce. And keep it kind of a little on the moist side. I mean, again, it needs that, and just give it room to grow. You know, we are blessed with kind of an environment where everything grows, but there are other plants that can kind of edge it out. Yep.
Is it hard to transplant southern maidenhair?
I have not tried to do that transplant, but ferns are tricky. Even when you think you have everything right, sometimes it doesn't like where you're putting it. So I would just keep trying. Yes?
I have maidenhair and
Yeah.
it spreads like crazy.
It's happy.
And I've had good success with just scooping up and making sure you have lots and lots of soil around it and put it in, of course, a similar environment. But
Right.
I have had good success with it.
Right, as long as you have that rhizome with a couple of leaves sticking up, it can transplant. Yes, Teresa.
I know you can eat some fiddleheads.
Oh,
You can eat all.
I have no idea. I don't know. I wouldn't eat them. Yes, FT.
Do you see them, they're not growing in full sun, it's kind of a dappled
Are you talking about ferns?
ferns?
Some of them grow, the bracken will grow in full sun, and it's somewhat invasive.
And how about moss? Do they need?
I have moss on this red rock at my house that is in full sun, and I am amazed that that's where it likes to be. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
Northern maidenhair ferns. What is the care difference between the southern and the northern?
I just think that it's a different variety. They would probably both like the shady conditions with the moist soil. Yeah, I think it would probably be similar environment.
Little jackets on the northern.
That's right, the northern ones wear little jackets. Yes.
I just moved a whole bunch of moss from one location to my fairy garden, but it expands very
Yeah.
good. And I've got will it hurt it to put the fairies?
No.
on it?
No, you
pressure,
can.
I mean,
Most mosses are really traffic resistant, so putting something on top of the moss is fine. She's building a fairy garden, which is a wonderful idea, and so transplanting that moss can be a little tricky because it's got to be happy where you put it. But just keep trying, and you'll find the variety that's going to grow. Man, there's so many different types of moss, and most of it is traffic resistant. It's pretty durable.
One more question? Anybody? I have a question. So, is it true or is it a myth that if you have like the lichen or on the magnolia tree, you have the, I don't know what it's called, some type of fern hanging off of it, that's a sign of health in the tree as well?
Interesting. Sure. So a forest is like this kind of miniature environment. So she's asking about whether or not lichen and I think you're referring to maybe a resurrection fern.
Yes.
That are growing on a tree, an indication of the tree's health. And in some cases it may be. I mean, because everything kind of at some level begins to decay, and mosses are really good at creating that new, refreshed environment. A resurrection fern is epiphytic, so it does not damage the tree, but it just kind of finds it as a good host. So if you have things growing on your tree, I would definitely check your tree health. I mean, because it's an indication that another organism has found it a good place to live, and most trees are not covered in other organisms. So yeah, it can be an indication. Yeah.
Do you have a theory of why moss always grows on the north side of a tree?
I don't know that it does always grow on the north side of the tree. I mean, it grows where it's happy. And I think there it tends to find shade and protection maybe from winds that usually go east to west, that it needs to thrive. Okay. Good question.
All right, thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
I got to chase you down.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we're ready for our business part of the meeting, so officer reports. First, our secretary, Becky, is out today, so our past secretary, Marsha Oliver, has agreed to take minutes for us.
Thank you, Sherry. And the minutes of the executive committee were actually published in the newsletter. So does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Terry Jones?
Yes.
Well, actually, the executive minutes were from May the 4th, last month. So here we go again. Multiple months, month after month, we're a month behind. So it's hard to ask questions, and transparency is supposed to be one of our mottos.
Correct.
And it's difficult to know what's going on, so I don't understand that disconnect. And another thing, there are lots of rumors about a member of the executive committee no longer being part of the executive committee. Cheryl Volker apparently has left. Nothing has been mentioned about that, maybe in your executive minutes.
It will be mentioned right here.
Okay, it wasn't.
We haven't gotten there yet.
It wasn't on the agenda, though, so that's why I questioned that. Another thing I want to thank you for, because I had questioned the list of members who had left for various and sundry reasons, and that was published in the newsletter. And thanks very much for that. And I hope going forward we can do that at least annually or biannually to know who's here and who's not. Okay?
Thank you. Yes.
Ma'am, the young lady there in the white shirt's asking me about this plant, so if you guys can give us information on it.
Oh, Celosia.
Paula Wallace, Ken.
Yeah, okay. Paula donated those, so she can talk to that.
First, let me say, I can't believe anybody took it. But it's beautiful. Yeah. It will take over.
All right.
Farmer's market.
Okay, thank you. Next up, our interim treasurer. As Terry Jo mentioned, Cheryl Vopert has resigned, and Pam McNatt was her assistant, so she's going to step up and be our interim treasurer. As you know, that's an executive position, and it has to be voted on. So in November, when we do our regular officer votes, we will ask Pam if she would kindly be our treasurer for the next term. But in the interim, the executive committee is allowed to appoint a fill-in, if you will. So I have appointed Pam as our interim treasurer, and she will fill in until we vote in November. So Pam, please.
First off, thank you to everyone who's helped me the past month and a half, as well as your patience in kind of doing that transition and everything. So I recognize that April reports were very late, and that included the big plant show monies, and Sherry's going to discuss that later. But both of these were posted in the newsletter. So if you have any questions or concerns, so the month ending of May 30th, our total currently is $65,044.49. That being said, there's still some expenses, taxes, and other things that have not come out of the plant sale yet, but they're starting to roll in, but they come in over several months. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Thank you. All right, next up, Shar, and it's our projects and committees. Shar Becker.
All right, real quick, project chairs, your evaluation forms are due July 1st. I have blanks with me if you need them, or you can pick them up and drop them off at the extension office. I'm gonna repeat every meeting until you're all tired of hearing it, but we still have positions that are available to fill. First VP, please somebody step up. Ask a Master Gardener, Hot Springs, we need an assistant. Know What to Grow, we need an assistant. Langston, we need both. Let's see, Entergy, we have a first year who's willing to step up to be chair. Yay, Scott! So we need, though, somebody to back Scott up as well. And for the county fair, we need an assistant. As first VP, part of my responsibility is to get out and visit the projects. And I have to say, well, first, I'm going to start with the Hot Springs Village monthly Yard of the Month group. How about those garden tours? Yeah. Wow. Sadly, I couldn't make it, but I probably received at least 20 comments about how fabulous they were. So nice work, team. I also got out to see a couple other projects, the youth group at Park Magnet School. And they rebuilt all the raised beds, and one of the beds they added, now this one I get all choked up about, there's a young boy who has cerebral palsy and used to drag himself to the bed in order to work the bed. So the team built a little edge for him so that he's able to get there and sit and garden in the raised bed. Now, is that not a positive thing that we do? I got to the bird habitat at the Garland County Library, and that used to be a patch of dirt. Well, I would encourage any of you to get out there and take a look at what Ann and her team has done. And if you want to ask anybody about plants that you never heard of, Ann would be happy to give you that explanation. And then, of course, Xeriscape, Hot Springs Xeriscape, beautiful, just the variety. The best thing about getting out to these projects or working these projects is how many people walk by from our communities to say, this looks beautiful, thank you for your work. If that doesn't give you satisfaction, you're a rotten tomato. So thank you, that's it.
All right. Okay, next up, our second VP, Annette, is out today, so Walter is her assistant, and he will give us that report.
He's over there.
Okay, good morning, everybody, or afternoon.
Where are you?
Today, I'm really happy to be able to announce that we had 79 members here at this meeting. And that does qualify for a quorum if we were doing business, so that's really great. Thank you, everyone. We have 4 guests today, and forgive me if I mess up your names, but Barbara Rubin, Claire Aguilar? Okay, thank you. And then also Jeannie Lasser is here as a guest, and then Richard Baker. We want to welcome each of you and invite you to become a member of Master Gardeners if you haven't already.
Hold on, we've got a question.
We're also, this is our first time, we just couldn't find the paper, it wasn't in the.
Oh.
David and Debbie Truman, we just moved from South Texas.
Welcome.
Okay, great. Now, each of you, we asked if you were interested to take a ticket for the gift today is a tiny plant book. And I've kind of flipped through it. It's got some pretty neat pictures in it. So I'm going to ask Char if you would pull the number out of there. Thank you. Okay, so the number we have, I'm just going to read the last 3 digits. It's 467.
467.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. And our past president Tricia is out today, so we won't have any info on report from her. So moving on, our next item of business is our county agent report. And Daniel tells me that Jimmy Driggers has something to share with us today.
Thank you, Ms. Sherry. My name is Jimmy Driggers. As she said, I'm the staff chair here in Garland County. And this is the first year that I have not been able to get to a Master Gardener training in 28 years. So I hate I missed that, but we had a few health issues and we're going good now. So is there any first year Master Gardeners? Raise your hand. Welcome. Welcome to Master Gardener. We hope you get involved and have as much fun as the rest of us do. I come to you today to explain a few things and the bearer of a little bit of bad news. As the name says, we are the Cooperative Extension Service. The cooperative part means that we are federally funded, which is mainly grants. We are state funded, and then a county sends in a portion which is predetermined by our administration. And it is across the 75 counties. They are committed to having an ag agent and an FCS agent, Family and Consumer Science agent. So there are several counties that may have 4, 5. We have 4 agents in our county. We are very blessed. We have had 4 agents for over 40 years, and I think it's getting close to 50. So I think that tells you the relevance of that right there. Where I'm going with this, our county cut our budget last year $30,000. And the purpose of that supposedly was a COVID grant was not funded. I'm not sure how our funds got put into grants because we have been in county general for numerous years. But in saying that, when our administration commits to more than 2 agents, for each agent, it's about $30,000 that the county has to contribute. Now, the county just don't only furnish a little bit of salary money. They also furnish our office and our phones and utilities and stuff. So I'm not saying that they don't do their share. Everybody has to do their share to make this program work. But where we're at now, we have us having 4 agents. We are short $30,000, which is a position. We will, and I say we, the county, and who will make this decision is our county quorum court and our county judge. So in saying that, we will have 1 ag agent for sure, and we will have a family consumer science agent, which is Allison Crane. After that, they will make a decision on what program to cut. Will it be 4-H? We have approximately 150 to 200 kids in that program. I sure hope not. We teach public speaking. We help kids show livestock at the county fairs. There's thousands of things that we do for our 4-H program. A lot of people don't understand that because they think their involvement is the only thing that we do, but that's not the correct picture. In saying that, right behind our 4-H, we'll have a decision whether to keep 4-H or a decision whether to keep the horticulture positions. So how does that affect you? Absolutely, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect our training. I'm not sure that we can continue that. I haven't even gotten that far because in my career of 28 years here in Garland County, we've never been cut until this past year. Now, the next question that probably people have on their mind is, that was cut last year, so how are we surviving this year? I have tried to be very frugal and conservative on the funds that I manage. And for instance, we have had 5 agents in the last 15 years that were in this horticulture position. The problem with that is we try to hire really quality people. So they are, the city is after them, businesses are after them. They're very high quality workers. And extension does not pay extremely well either. So that combination, there's a lot of turnover. It's not that people don't like the job, it's just there's other opportunities there. And we've had a retirement or 2. So in saying that, the quorum court and the county judge will make that determination on what position we eliminate. And I feel like the Master Gardener program as well as the horticulture program do a tremendous amount of stuff. When you back up and you look at the projects that we have, the education that we do, involved with Gardenwood and Gardens, involved with the city, there's no end to what you guys do and how much you mean to this community as well as the county and the city. So I come today asking you, how many of you do not know who your JP is? Please go look it up on the computer. All you got to do is go to Garland County Quorum Court and they'll have a list and they'll have, you can figure out who your quorum court member is. But I need you guys to desperately go to these JPs and express your concerns with cutting the horticulture program for the Cooperative Extension Service here in Garland County. So on top of that, if we don't get some response, the decisions will be made in November. So the August quorum court meeting, I'll be presenting there and just generally about what the horticulture program does and what I do with livestock and forages and my programs as well. But if we don't have a response before then from JPs or the county judge, I desperately need you guys to be at the quorum court meeting, not necessarily to say anything, but just to be there in support of Master Gardeners and the horticulture programs. I'm long-winded today. I'm not trying to be, but there's some very important information. Is there any questions up to this point? Yes, ma'am.
How is it such a clear black and white between 2 positions when we're living in a state that just gave back grocery tax and state tax? I think somebody needs to go further up the ladder and shake the tree and say, you're bringing in a lot of industry. You need these people to support the environment around a growing state such as Arkansas.
And that's exactly what the county judge, he and I had a conversation about this, and the county wants to say, hey, the state needs to kick more money in. Even though we're tied to the University of Arkansas, when they raise tuition prices, we don't get that. We are the Division of Agriculture. Our money has to come from legislators, from the state government, and we have lobbyists, but I can tell you we have been appropriated several times in the last 16 years, but received no money. Even though you're appropriated doesn't mean that you get funded. I don't totally understand that, but that's the scenario. So to answer your question, we've had several, I'd say a third of those years, we had one-time money, but you can't create positions and fund positions with one-time money. So that just don't work. But that's essentially, in the last 16 years, we've not had an increase, in a continuing increase.
Jimmy, there's one thing I would like to say, and I'm saying it more to you guys than to you. When the new Master Gardeners are getting their volunteer manual, it always says on it, our volunteer hours represent X amount of money. and I don't know what it is this year, but it's around $30 an hour. When you think of the hours that we have earned over the years, and we can look back every year how many hours we have earned, and it is a ton of hours and a ton of money that we represent regarding our work that we are contributing to the county. So that is something that we need to keep track of, because when we are giving you that information in September to put in your October report, it is amazing the amount of work you do, and we always tell you how much work we do and how proud we are of you. And that gets right to what I would like to say that my follower, Mary Kay Olenek, does when she keeps track of the hours. She put a board out there, and it should to show you on that board how many hours we have today. You guys have got to put in the hours you earned, because it represents real money, and in this case, it actually may make a difference.
Absolutely. And I have those numbers on my desk. I should have brought them, but I didn't want to be long-winded other than what I've got to do. So, yes, sir.
When is this meeting you talked about that we should try to attend?
If you can just talk to your JPs for right now, and if we don't get a huge response before then, it's August the 10th, Monday night at the Quorum Court, which is right beside our office. Yes, ma'am.
I was in a different group with this very same situation, and we, Master Gardeners, showed up to the Quorum Court and to the judge. We didn't say a word, but they were so overwhelmed with the participation that they granted our request.
That's exactly why I'm here right now. You guys have a tremendous amount of pull. Yes, ma'am.
Is it appropriate to wear our name tag if we attend the Quorum Court meeting?
Absolutely. I would highly encourage that. And I will introduce you guys as well and have you stand up if I'm at the microphone.
Would you repeat when that Quorum Court is, that date?
August the 10th.
What time?
6, I believe.
Can somebody put out in our newsletter?
We will get you further information if we get to that point and have not seen a response. It'll be in a newsletter or something. Yes, ma'am.
Worst case scenario, if we are not allowed to move forward, if we lose those funding, how will that affect us specifically as a chapter?
It depends on how the Quorum Court members, what program they cut. You know, as we've talked about, I've been through a lot of agents in my 28 years. And I can hold the world together for 5 or 6 months, but I can't do it for a long period of time. I mean, that training takes a lot of preparation and a lot of time, and there's a lot of material and a lot of work that goes into that, along with just getting to visit you guys' projects. You know, that's how we communicate and we establish communication skills between our projects and agents and our administration at Little Rock. So you guys are totally a part of the Cooperative Extension Service. Any other questions? I appreciate the time. I hope it didn't take too long. It's great to be back. Thank you.
All right, next up is our awards ceremony. So Hildy Simmons and Heidi Haskins, please.
I like to stay, I like to hide behind the head.
Hold on.
We'll be quick.
Easy.
All right. Sure.
Yes, it did.
Yay. Okay. All right. Hey. Okay, got it. All right, as you can see, we have this board up, and it's the length of service.
presentation, I would assume is the word I want to use. I like to hide here because then you don't see how wide I am. So I'm going to try to talk loud, and I hope we won't be too long. But here it is. It's the second and last time we're showing up this year. We'll show up again in January when the new year starts and help the Garland County Awards and State Awards people. Then again in April, when we are going to be giving out shovels for all the work you're doing and the hours that you're earning. And then today is the lengths of service. So here we go, lengths of service for this year. And we go forward. Don't bother to read this story. It basically tells you we receive name badges for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 years of service, and we're giving them out right here to those people who have those landmark years. That's one thing. Master Gardeners who have the 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35 name badges, get them paid for by Garland County. Pins that go with it come from the state, and those people who get those precious life member ones, the gold ones, are getting them paid for by the state. So that's what I wanted to tell you, and this is what that is. Another thing that we have highlighted the board. We put a board together for all the life members. We are now on board 3. So we've had, in our almost 40 years, we've had lots of life members. And that board ought to be in Daniel's office, and we hope it stays Daniel's office.
Not in the drawer.
Those right here are the pins that the state give us. Here on the table are the name badges that we are giving out that we paid for. So let's get started. Receiving 5-year badges are and pins are 3 people: Joel Bailey, Charlene O'Neill, and Marvin Schultz. Marvin isn't here, so get it for Charlene and Joel. Come up here and get them. And be fast because we're running behind schedule. All right, Joel, here you go. Marvin is getting his on Wednesday when he goes to the city greenhouse to work there. It's already promised. All right, so they get a green badge and a pin. And it says 5 years of service on it. There you go. Next ones. Now this is a big group. It's 11 of them up here. But I can't put 11 of them on one slide. So the first 3 are Tony, Pam, and Sherry Davis. Get up here. The next ones are, and here's FTR. Sorry, FT, you have to take your own picture. Karen Mason and June Ann Green. Next bunch. So whoever is here, come here and you get your new tag. Do we have them right here? There you are. That's a small representation of 11 people. There's the other part right here. There is Sherry Matthews, Sandy Morak, Elaine Sichter, and Christine Peter. Come on up. All right, so here you are.
I've got to go to the doctor.
She goes to the doctor. She doesn't want to be on our pictures. But those are the folks who got the 10-year pin. It's a white one with green writing. The badge is the white one with green writing and the pin from the state. Okay? And then we have 2 people right here. We were too cheap to give them a name badge and a pin. Or better said yet, they didn't want to put something in their drawers to not wear. So here it is. Debbie Prince left us. She went to Washington State, Washington County, to West Forks, and she's getting the pin from them. And the other one is Karen Tyner. She moved back to Oregon. We're glad they were with us for 10 years. For 10 years, and worked with us. So that's 5 and 10 right there. Here, we already showed you the board. Joining this board right here are 4 new life members. Let me show them. Here they are. Sue Bristol, come on up, girl. And Dana Carter, if she's here, come on up. Diane Murdoch, if she's here. And Pat, come on up. If they don't want to work again, not even a single hour, they don't have to. But it's great if they do. And that leads us to the next people. Next 5 years is another milestone, and that is 20 years. We have 4 of them right here. We have Debbie Atchison, we have Martha Dooley, we have Jackie Tarleton, and we looked at our records and saw in previous year, a year ago or so, we missed Sally Waddell, but she should certainly have that new name badge. So girls, come up here. 20 years of this fun. Next, on their way up are Michael Carr, Andrew Brown isn't here, and Kay Shearer isn't here. Michael, you have to represent all of them, right there. Michael Carr, 25 years. And it gets even better. Here it is, Karen Hill. She is not here either. This is just such a shame. We have Karen Hill, 30 years. 30 years. Did I forget to mention Kay Shearer?
No, you did.
Okay. All right. What? Yes,
Does everyone know that Karen just had surgery? No.
No, I didn't know Karen had surgery.
Back surgery.
Back surgery.
She's doing well, she's home.
She's doing well and she's home. So this is news to us, so we're going to have to send her a sunshine card. But there she is. We couldn't have a cuter person to represent this group right here. Karen Hill, 30 years. And then last but not least, 35 years. The one and only one mentioned at the state conference as being a 35-year recipient. One of our, the only one we have. Paula Wallace. Get up here. The name back. 35 years. We have master gardeners that go up to 40. So another 5 years, girl, it's up to you. So this was our presentation. Those are the name badges for the people. So we look forward to all of you reaching that level. It's not going to be me. Thank you so much. The leftover badges I'm going to take to the extension office and people can pick them up there. All right? Thank you, everybody. All right, thank you. And congratulations, lots and lots of folks got there. All right, next up, we have one bit of unfinished business, and that is our plant sale and garden show. And I know we've all been waiting for some numbers. We have some numbers. They may not be the complete final numbers because we're still waiting on some taxes and things that we don't quite understand while we're waiting on, but we are. So I just want to give you the highlights. We had actual gross income, $33,008. We had expenses of
$8,161. So, do the math. We have a net income, which is money into our budget, actual dollars, $24,847. Now, our goal was $21,650. So you can see we exceeded our goal, so we've got some money for next year.
Let's give those girls a hand. Sherry Davis and Gail.
Thank you. All right, so new business. Rebecca Tutton, excuse me, is not with us, but Sheila McCarty is going to talk about our awards nominations, which are coming up.
Hey everyone, Rebecca has had an accident with her back and is just in really extreme pain. So I know you, along with me, we're going to wish her a very speedy recovery and some help for that back. It happened yesterday. So just imagine that I'm Rebecca Tutton. She's quite a bit taller and way thinner. So work with me. Rebecca is the chairperson for our awards committee, and it is a fabulous committee. This will be her second year to be the chair, and she has wanted me to extend an invitation on her behalf for any of you that would like to join that committee. She would like to have 1 or 2 additional people. We have had 2 people agree to be on it that are just going to be exceptional. That's Stephanie Maxwell and Cindy Fitzgerald, so thank you very much for that. And she did want me to tell you, I'll abbreviate it for sure, but if you go to the UAEX website, where we go anyway to get our hours, go to Master Gardeners and then go to County 76. And for you first year folks, you know that's an overlay organization that's statewide, County 76. Within County 76, there's a subcommittee called RRR. And quick, RRR stands for Recruitment, Retention, Recognition. Okay, so the recognition part of that is on the website, and you can see for yourself if you're interested, like what do you do? You'll see that County 76 gives us some guidelines to go by. And the main thing to know also is that we start in August asking for your nominations for the various awards. And there are 8 awards that we ask you for nominations. It's so important that you nominate within the county. Thank you for doing that. And then once in October, we meet and determine who the county winners are. We have to go through, see the nominations, have to make sure that they're all valid, because sometimes you can't win an award more than once, things like that. So we trickle down through there, we get our county winners. That's a big deal. That's recognition by your peers. That's a big deal. But then the awards committee goes on from there, y'all. So if you enjoy writing, if you enjoy doing some work like on your own time, your own schedule, this is not a meeting-based committee that Rebecca runs. We have 2 or 3 meetings maybe. But most of the work is done on your own time, alone, and then we review and edit for each other. Basically, if you enjoy writing, if you enjoy doing an interview and doing a write-up, this awards committee consists of people that are English majors and some people that are content writers, that are paid content writers, grant reviewers, grant writers, people like that. And then there are people who have none of those skills on that committee, just because I like to write thank you notes and stuff like that, so that's why I'm on. If you would enjoy being on that committee, Rebecca would like to invite you to speak with her about that and do the research. We do a lot of our work from October until January 15th. So a lot of the writing does take place, through some holiday season time. So if you're somebody that takes a 1-month cruise for Christmas, you may not want to do this job. But we get our state write-ups, we send submissions to the state by January 15th, and then we find out after that if we want a state award. And then if we want a state award, then we get ready for the state conference and recognition of that. So that's what the committee does. She asked me to tell you that. And certainly consider contacting her, and you can contact me if you've got questions or are interested in being on the committee. Thanks very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not really a question, but it's an announcement about, especially for all the new Master Gardeners. Please note down here in the announcements, the A to P. A to P is part of County 76, which means annuals to perennials. So it's very important you remember that. And another thing that is sponsored by our County 76 is our P&G State Conference, which is, well, it's not a state conference, P&G meeting, which is going to be at the Extension Office, and it is on the 19th of September. And this is the first time it's being held as one-day event, and it's on a Saturday, so those of you that may be still working or unavailable during the week, that way it meets the schedule. And please try to be there. I serve on the P&G committee, and there's lots of work that goes into that. We meet at least every month. Lynn's on that committee. Nancy, where are you? There's multiples of us, Hildy, that are on that committee. So remember, and it's very educational.
All right. Okay, thank you. All right, that takes us to announcements. If you haven't noticed, the plant swap is going on the side over here. There are a few plants left that I see over there. Thank you all for bringing those in and swapping with us. I got something new. Okay, up here on the stage, there is a pile of our storyboards from the projects that we loaned to the garden show, and was set up in one of the booths. So if you loaned your project board, would you please collect it back, take it back for yourself now. The city projects, we have 5 city projects that we support. The City Greenhouse, the Hot Springs Xeriscape, Pollinator Garden, Farmers Market and Triangle, and Energy Park. The city is throwing a party for us to thank us for our hard work, and that is going to be on the 24th at noon at Energy Park. So if you worked any of those projects, you are welcome to show up on the 24th. As Donna mentioned, A to P, annuals to perennials, that's coming up next month. The calendars, you know, we do the yearly calendars that the state puts out. They're asking for our photos by July 18th and events that we want printed in the calendar by July 24th. I already submitted our dates for our new plant sale for the events part of that. Okay, and P&G, Plant Nurture Grow, State Extension Office on the 19th. Any other announcements?
Yes.
Michael?
My husband and I are doing a project at home that involves bricks. We think we have enough bricks, but if anyone has any extra bricks that they want to get rid of, please call me, because we might need them. Thank you.
I went to the state conference a couple days ago, at the end of the month, and it was a lovely, lovely state conference. So Donna Woodard, who comes from Faulkner County, and all her friends did a great job. They gave out this bag. I do not need yet another bag. Anybody who wants it, please take it home.
Jody?
So Know It to Grow It will be Saturday, June 26th at 10 a.m. at the library. And our very own Linda Fleming and Diane Arrington will do a little program on butterflies, how to attract them and what plants to put in. So please come and join us for Know It to Grow It.
Jody, that's
10 o'clock.
27th, not the 26th.
Saturday, June 27th.
Yes.
That's the Hot Springs Library.
It is.
Yes.
Garland County.
Garland County.
Any other announcements?
I guess we have money for the library.
All right, our next monthly meeting, July 16th, right back here. And the last thing is, Roy, what are we doing with chairs today?
somebody gets to take one of those home. Just leave them where they are, don't move them, so get your purses, your water, and all that, so I can on the floor.
All right, thank you. We're adjourned.